Good morning, Tamariki Ma. Today it's Thursday, the 21st of October. It's Mr. Gooden here again. Firstly, well done and thank you to all those students that completed your work on Monday and yesterday and today. I'm really proud of you all. Let's get into today's book. It's called Tracks in the Sand, and it's all about the patterns and the tracks that certain animals leave. It's an information report, so let's get to it. Tracks in the Sand. Tracks in the Sand. This is the contents page. Tracks. We can learn a lot by looking at tracks in the sand. We can tell what animals are nearby. The best time of day to see tracks is clearly early morning or late afternoon, when the sun is low and shadows are long. Animals with hooves. Can you guess what large animal made these tracks? These tracks were made by a cow. Cows leave a clear print in the sand because they have hard hooves. This track was also made by an animal that has hooves. A camel has made this track. Camel tracks can be hard to see because a camel's hooves don't sink very far into the sand. A galloping horse made these tracks. We can tell that the horse was moving very fast because the sand has been kicked up around the edges of each hoof print. The next time you see a horse's tracks, find out if they were made by a fully grown horse or a young foal. Animals with paws. These tracks might look like a dog's tracks, but they were made by a fox. The next time you see some dog tracks, compare them with these fox tracks to see how different they are. You don't often see rabbit tracks in the sand because rabbits usually hop in the grass. Rabbits hop with their front paws together and their back feet apart. We can see this in their tracks. Look at these tracks disappearing over the sand dune. These tracks were made by two red kangaroos. The baby kangaroo, or Joey, was travelling in its mother's pouch. These tracks were made by a small animal like a kangaroo. They are the tracks of a tamar, which is a kind of wallaby or small kangaroo. The tamar is very rare. Reptile tracks. A dragon lizard made these tracks. You can tell a lizard's tracks because a lizard doesn't just leave footprints, it also leaves tail prints. That's the line you see running down the middle. A green turtle made these large curving tracks in the sand. Green turtles only come ashore to lay eggs. They spend most of their lives in the sea. Tiny tracks. These tiny tracks belong to the hermit crab. Hermit crabs run along the beach at night looking for food. In the morning, the sand is covered with their tracks. These tracks do not look like the footprints of an animal at all. If you ever see the little crab that made these tracks, look closely. You will see it leaves little rolls of sand like bubbles everywhere it walks. That is why it is called the bubbler crab. Some tracks are very, very small. These were made by a scarab beetle. These tracks are also made by a beetle. The longhorn beetle covers the sand with its tracks. Bird tracks. The animal that made these tracks is a bird. This large bird, called a bustard, has 3 toes on each foot. These are animal tracks too, but this bird has 4 toes on each foot. Can you see the print of the back toe? These tracks were made by an egret. A cluster of tracks on the beach means that several animals were walking in the sand and looking for food. These tracks crisscross the sand. The photograph inset shows the silver gull that made some of the tracks. The bird track is enormous. This is the track of an emu. An emu is a very large Australian bird that cannot fly. Let's go tracking. Let's imagine that we see some tracks and we want to find out who made them and where the tracks go. Look closely at the tracks. You can see that these are footprints on either side of a tail print, so a lizard might have made these tracks. We keep walking, following the tracks across the sand. Suddenly we catch sight of a lizard in the distance. It is a monitor lizard. Whose tracks are these? Can you match the tracks with the animals that made them? See page 24 for answers. Well, room 4, for your activity today, I'd like you to give this a go. See if you can match up the tracks in the numbered column with the picture of the animal in the lettered column on the right hand side. Good luck, and then there'll be other activities to do for this book too. Ka kite anō!